Okay, and back in the mine one more time. So now we're going to talk about a new problem I had to do with pathfinding. Generally, there is a couple of things that function here. We have like the building grid. So you put a building down, turns yellow, can't put another building in the same spot. Have to abide by the rules here. Um, but there's like the actual like it's X units by Y units huge. This is 2 by 3, right, in size. So there's a certain amount of size expected when actually like putting this guy together. Um, that is kind of of interest. But there's kind of a other problem this presents is if we assume that the building grid is also what we do for pathfinding, so the guy knows he has to walk around that 1 by 1 tile or whatever, and then we add a little thing I did to screw myself over. It's called a wall. Oh, isn't this great? Yeah, the wall is a bit of a problem in that either the wall takes up a whole space or the wall takes up none of the space. And this actually creates two different problems. The first problem is that while it's pretty good to be able to get your guys on the wall and get them defending and stuff, um, it's not super great for actually getting them to acknowledge how the wall works. Because other than getting on the wall, they have to get off the wall or walk past the wall at some point, and it just causes problems. And I had guys getting sucked into walls pretty consistently, and that was because they would be in the wall, be like, okay, I'm going to take a path. What's the closest path to start my path at? The closest path is actually the tile above him now. But now that he's next to that tile above him, and that's the closest non disabled tile, because we disable the sandbag tile by putting sandbags on it, we have this problem where he would try to walk into the wall to get away from the wall. And that's horrific. So we had to do a lot of work. And what we did is we actually taught them that you can walk past sandbags. Walking inside the same square sandbags is totally allowed. However, if you want to walk through the sandbags, you have to go around. That is to say, diagonal movement is not allowed, and vertical movement is not allowed. So there are certain like things you're not allowed to do in regard to the set. But we also have to teach them that actual shapes have to function. You can't just like bar off like a certain arbitrary angle because you can rotate buildings, right? So if we just go here, let's just make our guys life hell. Let's build a maze just to fuck with him. Oops. That guy just got stuck running into bags. That needs improvement too, but we're gonna look at that way later. Right, so let's see. Then yeah, I think we've just built a maze. We need one last piece to top this off though. Okay, great. Now we've built a maze out of sandbags. Did this guy know how to traverse it? Actually, maybe not as well as I thought. No, actually he can. He sucks at some parts of it, but considering this is literally a maze, he's doing pretty good, all things considered. Yeah, he's getting snagged on the corners when he's trying to round the corners. That could use improvement. Certainly, that could use an upgrade. But actually not awful. Other than him trying to cut these corners a little too aggressively. Not terrible. This means that we can have a guy build actual full-size walls. We can build whole tall-ass walls. Instead of guys getting sucked into them, they now know they have to walk around them. And that works wonderfully. But this also opens up another Pandora's box. Now we've taken this from building occupation, X size, Y size, to building occupation, building obstruction, and connection obstruction. The wall only obstructs connections between the tile above it and the tile below it. But if we want to do other things, now that we've unsynced this all into 3 variables, what we can do is we can do things like this. And now, this is featured only momentarily on the last one. Look at this. If I want to tell my guy to go through here, he knows he has to walk around the corners of his mech assembly, but he can walk through the middle if he happens to feel like it at any time, right? Because we have a 3 by 3 grid. These corners are considered solid blocks. We don't walk past them. And the rest of the other 5 squares that make the little plus in the middle are considered open space, which is pretty great actually. That actually allows moving through your base to be a little more practical when you start getting a lot of these slapped down. But obviously you still want to be careful because if you're building mechs, you're gonna have like a mech that's in construction in the middle of this for several seconds. So this actual navigability isn't super great, but it's good enough that you can walk your mechs out of it and actually choose which direction they're going when they first get made. So this was a huge pain in the ass string together. The code is an absolute fucking mess. I cleaned it up as much as I could, but At some point, it is just a bunch of ifs checking a bunch of directions, brute force. There's not like a smart way to streamline it. But the system is pretty powerful. In theory, I can have both X and Z be blocked off from any given axis. I can have uh yeah, I can both X and Z from any particular angle. I can have both sides if I want to have like a narrow channel you can walk through. It's a mask, right? So it's made out of 4 bits. Block X positive, block X negative, block Z positive, Z negative. That's how we construct the mask for what isn't allowed, and then we have to modify that to be relative to rotation, which is super ass, and I fucking hated writing that too. Um, but it does work. Actually, it works first try, in fact, which I can't be too upset about that. Definitely needs improving, but this is not bad for like the initial concept. I really need is like better. I'm hitting a wall. I need to walk away from the wall mechanic. If I can work on that, that'll go a lot better with this change. But this is pretty good for now. This is actually really good. We can have a guy stuff just like a dead end, proprietary dead end. Boom, boom, boom. Great. Now this guy has to go navigate this. What's he do? That's right. He walks all the way around. It's perfect. It's great. It's beautiful. It works wonderfully, and I'm very happy with that. But boy, am I just really pissed off about like everything else about it. Oh well, this is only 4 hours of work overhauling how this grid system works. But it does work. You can't put solar panels or ammo piles in the middle of the mech assembly or next to a sandbag. They do take up physical space. Some space is more logical than others. But if you look at the actual part it's intersecting, it is correct. Yes, this part is obstructed. This part is not. This is next to the wall, not inside it. But this is inside the wall. Right. So we have like this whole thing we've cobbled together. Anyways, I'll keep you all posted more. In the future for tanks, I'm probably going to need to make a different grid for AI pathing that is for 2x2 units and then one for 3x3 units. Or, we're just going to take the largest axis. So what it does is everything is currently spherical collision because it's the fastest to calculate. And in fairness, it actually has been surprisingly fast to do physics calculations with. I guess spheres are great for that reason. But we block moving up and down the y-axis with collisions artificially. So that's, well, not artificially. There's a boolean for it in Godot. We use the boolean. But it's not terrible. But what we're gonna have to do is get like every time we have like a 2 by whatever unit, if 2 is the largest axis, we're gonna treat it as a 2 by 2 unit because that's what the radius is gonna be effectively. We have effectively cylinder-based collision in any practical basis. Um, so yeah, we're gonna have to start reworking AI grids so that you can, if I was going to build, I don't know, let's take this, right? If we had this, we would need a tank to know that it cannot walk between these paths here, but it can maybe walk between these paths here. Maybe not. We'll see about that. That's going to be the next obstacle. I'll keep all posted about that. Even some of the bigger mechs are going to actually take up probably that much space, so we'll see if we have to change about the mech assembly either. Oh gosh. But yeah, that's all for now.